Good evening, lamb chops. It is I, your favorite fluffy vampire, Bluma. Hi. How's everybody doing? Hi, Jose. How are Sue? How Muffin? Hi, Matter. Hi. Jose ahead of time, yeah. Jose living in the future. What is it? What else we got? A time for 8 chapters at Crane Games. Oh. How does she know him? She's my favorite fluffy vampire. It's part of my powers, you know, mind reading and shit. I see all, know all. Yeah. Book club, let's go! Hell yeah, book club. Monday night book club. Alright, I'm super excited for this one. One, because this is probably the one where I have the least memory of what happens in it. I know last time I was saying, like, I have no idea. I can't remember at all what happens, but, like, once I, like, loaded up, like, I typed in, to, like, look for thumbnails, right? I was trying to get pictures, and then, like, I typed in the arc name, and I was like, oh, yeah, shit, that's what happens in it. But yeah, of the question arcs, and I think out of all the Higurashi books, this is the shortest one. Like, it was saying, like, it clocks in at about a 7-hour time, like, reading time. Whereas the last one allegedly clocked in at, like, 15 hours, which was the longest one. So, technically, we should be getting through this one in, like, a few streams. Like, there isn't that many chapters. You're not good, rough day, almost cry, but all Gucci. Oh, I feel that, bro. I cried at work today. It's okay to cry sometimes. Oh no, you can see the inside of my mind, mostly. I know what you do. She might be on to you guys if she reminds. Exactly. Better watch yourself. Yeah, this is the final question arc. It focuses on Rika. That's not a spoiler. She's the only one fucking left for us to focus on. You're into it, oh my god. Oh yeah, so without further ado, we're gonna get right into it. And there is just something about how, like, the opening screen is the whole town. I think that's what it was in the first book, too. Everything good on my side? Yeah, it's pretty good, I mean, I must say so, man. Not like a certain sheep fan. Hey, oi! I'm so say so. I have no idea what you're talking about. Where's my question arc? Does he really need one? Every arc he's in is a question arc because he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. I mean, I love mystery. God damn it. The only vampire ship I know is Super Say So. Exactly, bro. Exactly. It's Fua, isn't it? Alright. But let's, like, get into it, yeah? Because it says only 7 hours, so I wonder how long the chapters actually are, you know? I don't know why it continues here. I literally just opened and loaded in the game. I had to do all the shenanigans. What, dang it again? For you, the final mystery. I now entrust you with all the mysteries hidden within Higurashi when they cry. However comical it may be, if you have reached any conjecture that you have passed, the final novel is the meager reward for you. Conjecture is impossible. You have the right to reject the story. That's kind of intense for an opener. Oh yeah, Himatsubushi. It translates into the time-killing arc, in case you were wondering. This one's red, yeah. It's okay. Who is the criminal, you ask? Don't we search for them in the story? Who is the criminal, you ask? Do you even know who the criminal did? Who is the criminal? Who is the criminal who will kill me now? Okay. Didn't like that child laugh at all. Midsummer, 1985. I had misread the time and ended up arriving too early. The schedule board flipped the series of clacks. My flight to Sapporo was still a bit later on. I still had over an hour before boarding. Well, I might as well close my eyes for a bit on the bench over there then. I blame I'll be in the background of the Genshin event. Alright, good luck out there. I came here directly from work, so maybe the fatigue is what was making me so sleepy. Sleepy. Ooh. Findable a suitable bench. I put my luggage on the seat next to me and settled down. I can't... There's just... Normally it's actually cars driving by outside, but all the cars so far have been in the game. I'm so... God damn it. Like, the one night it's quiet outside, the sound effects are actually cars driving by, you know? Phew. I sighed like an old man. I had hoped to stay young forever, but had become splendidly middle-aged. Ah! So this is from Rika's point of view? No, not from Rika's point of view. This is the story where we focus on Rika. Like how the last one focused on Satoko. But, you are right to question already, because we are not playing as Keiichi right now. In case you were confused. We are not playing as Keiichi. I'm sure we'll learn his name in a second, but... It's always just been the setting for the mood. Long con set up for the moment. Yeah. Apparently the rumor that even people in the later half of their 20s experience a decline in their physical strength wasn't a lie. I had been mild-numbingly busy at work lately, so I rarely had any time to myself. This might have been the first time I'd been able to enjoy a journey alone like this since I was a student. The reason behind this trip was to meet an old friend. It was a bit strange to call him an old friend. In fact, it might be better to call him a bad one. After retiring a couple years ago, he moved to Sapporo with his mother's hometown. His mother passed away soon after, and he was now peacefully enjoying his second lease on life. His name? Kurado Oishi. He was a former detective from the Primary Investigation Unit, stationed in Okinawa, redact the prefecture. To be honest, the only direct contact we ever had didn't last more than a few days. After that, we exchanged New Year's cards, but never met up again. So this would be the first time meeting him in 7 years. In other words, we met 7 years ago. 1978. There was something I just had to ask, to talk to him about concerning that time. To explain that it was impossible not to recall the incident that happened back then. That kidnapping, the details and resolution of which were resigned to darkness. Also, it was impossible not to recall a certain mysterious girl. My name is Mamoru Akasaka. It was a year that had been strangely hot, even though it was only June. Early summer, 1978. Goodbye, teacher. Okay, bye. Watch out for cars. And don't drop in at a friend's house along the way. Make sure you get your textbooks in order for tomorrow before you go to bed. The lively sounds of children running towards the hallway. Hey now, didn't I tell you before? I already have one of those. I don't need any more. The unique high-pitched voice of youth. The energetic shrill of the cicadas went completely unheard by their ears. Children, returning home from school, split off one by one in their groups of friends as they went through the intersections of the residential area. Even though there were several of them in a group as they left the school, as they got closer to their homes, their numbers dwindled. That's why the fewer friends you were walking home with acted as an indicator that you were much closer to your destination. Later. See ya. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Hey now, you're an all-star. Oh boy, he finally parted ways with his last friend. A van was parked at the bend in the road. The window was open and the sound of the radio leaking outside. It must have been the news or something. For that reason, the three of them were arrested for traffic violations and obstruction of justice. Due to the protests against the Inamizawa Dam project resulting in bloodshed when clashing with the riot police last month, things have only become more violent. The police are therefore taking precautions against the radical activists causing yet another incident. Last week, there was also direct confrontation with Minister Inugai on the steps of the Ministry of Construction. The boy's ears pricked up at the mention of the name Inugai. At the moment, a man's face peeked out suddenly from the window of the van. His behavior was a little different than that of the man looking around to see if there was any incoming traffic before he opened the door of his vehicle. His eyes were meeting suddenly with an unfamiliar man. The boy panicked slightly. Nightingale, okay? Skylark, okay? They're secured by 2 blocks around us. We're good to go. The man in the passenger seat whispered quietly. Nodding in acknowledgement, the man opened the door and stood by the boy. You. Are you Toshiki Inugai-kun? While asking that, the man peered at the boy's name tag. Toshiki Inugai. The name was written plainly there. Each game on, go play. The phone rang a 3rd time. If he reached out, he could easily pick up the receiver. However, he was concerned that if he picked it up before it had finished ringing once, whoever's on the other end of the line would think him a fairly cheap person. That's why he normally never picked up the phone until the 3rd ring, even though it was a worthless habit. However, his thinking that there isn't much meaning in waiting for just 3 rings, wouldn't have waiting for 5 be alright, was very much reality. His mind filled with such trifling thoughts. He picked up the phone after the 3rd ring had finished, its reverb dampening by his actions. Moshi Moshi? Yes? Hello? Hello? He knew that sometimes, due to a malfunction at the switchboard, calls didn't connect well. At those times, it was best to hang up and let the person on the other end call again. Usually wait for the 2nd ring. Yeah, I try and pick it up as soon as I can. I get scared that they're gonna give up. Thinking that, the moment he began to hang up the phone, he sensed that he was definitely connected after all. He felt the presence and the person on the other end of the line keeping silent. Hello? There was no way he didn't hear his question. What was the meaning of this? It wasn't like he didn't know that people could use silent calls to harass others. However, he never received a call like that until today. Maybe he was just lucky before, but he didn't believe that he would receive such a call on his phone. There was no direct calls from this line. Everything had to go through an operator. Therefore, there was absolutely no way the call would be connected unless it was verified there was somebody else on the other end of the line. That's why he didn't understand how to deal with the silent call, and instead settled into confusion. I don't know who you are, but if you have nothing to say, I'm going to hang up. Please call again some other time. Intending that to be the parting line, he made it slam down the receiver. It was in that moment that the person on the other end spoke for the first time. You didn't say who you were, so I was anxious. If you're not Minister Inugai, please hang up right away. He couldn't help but be surprised by the extremely strange voice on the other end of the line. Was there a human alive who could speak with such a hoarse, metallic voice? No. This was a voice he had heard somewhere before. That was the kind of voice that was on those low-brow documentaries. They'd use them when they wanted to hide the identity of the speaker, wasn't it? The voice he was hearing over the line was exactly like that. Who are you? As I said, that's what I want to ask. Are you Minister Inugai? Inugai hesitated to answer. Unable to discern the intent of that suspicious phone call, he had a vague feeling that something was off. He thought about hanging up the phone and asking the operator who initiated the call. However, he forced himself to restrain that urge, and for the time being chose to state his name and listen. That's right. This is Inugai. I said my name, now say yours. Well, my name doesn't matter. First of all, let's begin by thinking about the situation you're in right now. Right now, you're sitting in your chair, talking on the phone, yes? Then, why don't you try opening the lower drawer to your right? The lowest drawer to the right of the minister's chair. There was a lock on it. Not enough to function as a safe, but nonetheless, it was a drawer that contained some valuable things. That's why Inugai thought the person wanted some important information contained within that drawer. Sorry, I don't have any intention of opening that. I have no reason to follow orders from somebody who doesn't even give me his name. Well, if you don't order that drawer, I'll hang up the phone. You will most likely end up regretting that. Why don't you think about opening that drawer first? Inugai didn't like following orders from this suspicious person one bit. However, he was concerned about what the man said, regretting it, so he decided to open the drawer. He took a small key he kept stowed in his wallet and unlocked the drawer. His hand stopped right before he opened it. What if there was a bomb inside, and it would explode if the drawer was opened? That delusion took hold of him. He quelled that instinct and opened it. Did you do it? The thing that's in there. Do you know what it is? This is... What is the meaning of this? Hey! I don't think there's any need for me to explain, is there? I'll give you some time, so please think about it a little. I'll contact you again later. Now then, pardon me. Hey, wait! Hello? Hello? The call had ended. That would not change no matter how much he yelled at it. Even still, Inugai, without realizing that, continued yelling into the receiver for a while. The drawer was still open. On top of the folders crammed into that drawer, it laid there. Toshiki Inugai. Written in plain lettering on a grade schooler's name tag, just lying there. Enshrined there, completely out of place, as if it was cowering. This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to an actual person or organization is completely coincidental. Higurashi, when they cry. Do you remember, Yuki? This picture. This is where I first proposed to you. That brief moment before you nodded back, you probably wouldn't know just how much it seemed like an eternity to me. Cue opening scene, right? Oh my, what an opening, right? Yeah, I never would have thought the amount of time I could feel like an eternity. Compared to how long I had to wait for you to propose to me, it was... For the moment I met you until today. Compared to that little time I spent I was born, it might only be a brief period, but they were definitely precious, beautiful days that deserve to be called an eternity. That time continues even now. From now on, I wonder if it'll be a boy, or maybe a girl. Either one is fine. Boy or girl, either way it's living proof that we love each other. If it's a boy, we'll name it after you, Mamoru. If it's a girl, we'll name it after me, Yuki, from my name and hers. Thinking about names is so fun that in the end we still haven't decided yet. There's still time to puzzle over it. Not that long of a time, actually. We're married in this one, let's go, right? The music's so nice, right? Oh, the music in all of these is so good. It is kind of weird, though, to hear a happy song. Let's be real. You see, Yuki, there's something I have to apologize for today. It's my job. Sorry. It looks like an annoying bit of work has come up. In the worst case, I might not be able to make it there for the delivery. Oh, it's fine. You have a very important job. What you do protects the way we live. Compared to you, it's nothing. Please go ahead. When you return, I'll be waiting here with our child. Thank you. Also, I'm sorry. Please don't apologize. If you feel guilty about it, then you can just atone. If I atone that much, no matter how much money I have, it won't be enough. It's a joke. Now go on. As I left the room, I bumped into an elderly man. It was Yuki's father. In other words, my father-in-law. Father. I didn't want to intrude, so I waited in the hall. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I did hear. Go. Yuki's that kind of girl. No matter what happens, she doesn't want to hold you back. I've forced Yuki to give up on so many things. To put her through this during childbirth. Such an important time in her life, I'm ashamed. If you really feel that way, when you're done with your work, make some time for Yuki. She'll be happier with that than you passing off your work off to somebody else. Thank you. I know full well you do important work. Be proud in what you do. Yuki's looking forward to your triumphant return. Yes. I jumped in the taxi that was waiting outside. Compared to the time when I first got here, the numbers in the fare meter had grown considerably. It seemed the modest time Yuki and I had spent together wasn't so modest from an objective point of view. Sorry to keep you waiting. Go ahead. No worries. Well then, off we go. The taxi jerked as it changed gears to accelerate, soon burying the hospital my wife was in behind the throng of buildings. If it was to end up really troublesome ordeal, I probably wouldn't be returning for quite some time. To call a rookie like me, and on top of that, one who's off duty, it seemed like the sexton chief was calling for all hands on deck. The veteran upper brass gathering on an emergency basis happened occasionally, This was the first time, though, that I experienced everybody gathering together like this. Whatever was happening, there was no doubt it was going to be something novel. Right when my wife was ready to give birth. If I wanted to spend time and curse my misfortunes, I'd be here all day. Even the verdant ginkgo trees lining the street that always brightened my mood seemed to lack some of their usual whatever. Eventually, the government office came into view. Briefly holding my breath, I let the feelings of tension course through my body once again. I had to remember the work I was doing was important, necessary, and difficult. I composed myself and sharpened my wit. Ready. The taxi stopped in front of the building. Kasumagasi, Tokyo, Metropolitan Police Department, Public Safety Division. Chief, everyone's here. Akasa-kun, could you close the blinds? The blinds were usually closed when they needed to use the projector, or if the discussion was going to contain some particularly disturbing content. The blinds closed with a satisfying sound, darkening the interior of the room. Immediately, the inside of the room was completely drained of the pleasant morning atmosphere, leaving behind only the cold illumination of the fluorescent lighting. After the supervisor ensured that everyone was present, he nodded to the section chief once again. With everybody on the edge of their seats, the chief stood up solemnly and began to give his report. Approximately 48 hours ago, the Minister of Construction's grandson, who is also the son of one of his staff leaders, is believed to have been kidnapped. It is believed the minister, in an effort to resolve matters amicably, chose not to report the situation to the police and plans to cede to the demands imposed upon him. It seemed that approximately 48 hours earlier, the Minister of Construction's grandson and those of his senior staff members were kidnapped. The reason why is phrased that this was because the person in question didn't admit it had happened. Based on the results of the surveillance conducted at the minister's residence, multiple suspicious phone calls that had believed outside the city took place. The abducted child is said to be under treatment for some illness, but there's no trace of any hospital records or witnesses to such effect. Due to that and various other reasons, we believe without a doubt that the kidnapping has occurred. Here they omitted the details that brought this incident to light. If you think about it a bit, that meant that before this incident happened, the minister's residence had been under surveillance already. I won't use the word spied upon. Of course, there wouldn't have been court approval for this, and it would have been very hard to explain to ordinary citizens. However, it was quite the effective method to catch wind of the incidents like this before they got worse. I'd like for you to understand that dealing with these cases before they became a problem is the job of the Public Safety Division. Why is he just following their demands instead of reporting this to the police? The fact that the minister can't even trust the police, what is the world coming to? It seems the group of perpetrators demonstrated that they have quite a high level of surveillance on the ministers themselves when they conducted the kidnappings, enough to give the minister pause before calling the police. We'll find out right away to call the cops, more or less. So it's possible that there's a mole close to the minister. Several of the higher-ranking members who seem to have experience with this kind of thing let out deep sighs. The goals of the perpetrators, their demands, as well as the entire incidents are yet unclear. In any case, the possibility that this may grow to threaten national interests is extremely high. If their goal was to simply have the demands met on a monetary gain, that would have been nice. However, if this was some politically motivated shake-up, things can get a lot more complicated. Since we're not receiving any cooperation from the victim, that means they're not privy to any of the details and threats or demands. Due to the fact that we believe that this may be a mole involved in the incident, this investigation is highly classified. Only the people in this room are to know of this. Furthermore, as the case is our utmost priority, we'll be placing a hold on everybody's normal duties. Understood? After that, the supervisor continued on, tactfully explaining the course of action. If this incident were to become public, it would be possible that the minister's political life would be over. I'll spare you the explanation of how the rest of the dominoes would fall in the end. Support in the Diet would decline, followed by a no-confidence vote and a snap election, and it might even expand communist influences. In other words, we wanted to handle this delicately. Kawasaki, Saiki, Monitor communications from the minister and his child's residences 24/7. Find out what the minister's doing. Report anything that happens. The remaining members investigate whatever is related to the case as assigned to your units. Focus on your line of investigation on the commies, Reds, and Confeds. Don't discount the possibility of foreign involvement either. I've experienced one or two unamicable situations before. This, however, was the first time I've seen things get so hectic. Several sophisticated conversations were processing without the involvement of a rookie like me. I didn't intend to be timid, but I couldn't hide my confusion with this unfamiliar situation. Didn't realize Japan was also worrying about the Confederates, right? And cover that. As for Akasaka-kun, I snapped back to alertness upon hearing my name. Yes? You investigate the environmental groups that have petitioned the minister. Among them, there's a group protesting a Hinamizawa Dam project that made up the papers. Make sure you investigate them thoroughly. I doubt this is the act of some citizen group, but we have to eliminate every possibility we can. Understood. So those opposed to the Hinamizawa Dam. It's probably best if you go to the location personally. Get some info on the local authorities. They're a fairly radical organization, so the Public Safety Division there should have them marked as well. Understood. I'll head over there. Your wife, she's almost ready to give birth, is she? I apologize for the timing of all this, but I'm counting on your cooperation. We can't take our time with this, so we must have brute force with all our boots on the ground. Yeah, I know. My wife hates to interfere with my work with her own circumstances anyways. Sorry, and thanks. So then, as for Kawasaki-kun and Saika-kun, to help support your... I didn't want to take the business trip when my wife was about to give birth. Even if it was a little busy, as long as I was in Tokyo, I could head to the hospital right away. On assignment, though, that would be difficult. Even so, I knew the work I was doing was important, and fully understood that I was in no position to be so selfish. I'd have to make up to my wife for having to be away in such an important time. My wife, Yuki, would probably forgive me with a smile. The only thing she'd hate would be holding me back. My male ego, though, at least wish she would have tried to stop me. I'm sorry, Yuki. I don't mind if you always complain to our child that their father couldn't come to the hospital when they were born because he was busy with work. The next day, I took the bullet train to Nagoya, and then transferred to the train to Prefecture. Getting to my destination by land took several hours. If I was traveling by air, in that amount of time I could possibly get as far as Hong Kong. Prefecture was no means close. I never sat in the first class except for work, but whenever I did, the seats seemed stiff. Closing my eyes, I mentally reviewed the documents I read yesterday. The group under investigation, the Onikakushi Defense Alliance. They were a group of residents opposed to the development proposed under the Hinamizawa Dam project. The local protests were quite heated and were getting more radicalized. Even limited to what was written in the newspapers, there was bloodshed that occurred during the clash with the riot police, interference with the dam construction. Too many to count. The number of petitions, sit-ins, direct appeals, and relevant organizations was innumerable. As an extension of that, there was a direct appeal to the Minister of Construction the other day. This was the reason why we were investigating this group in the first place. The land that lived down here was going to be submerged, so it was no wonder they would go to such a frenzy over it. Even given that, though, could they really be capable of doing something like kidnapping the Minister of Construction's grandson in order to halt the project? From my take on it, I had serious doubts. This kidnapping plot was extremely sophisticated and complicated enough that I believe there was some political backing. This wasn't something that could be pulled off by some group of local protesters. Well, just like the chief said, the plan was to eliminate all possibilities. While I'm in the police's reference room, taking my time investigating, the higher-ups in Tokyo would probably solve the case, without my involvement entirely. Even if that was true, I couldn't regret being away from Tokyo when my wife was ready to give birth. This was work. There was really nothing I could do. Ding dong. The announcement that we'd be arriving at our destination soon snapped me back to a wakefulness. Gugura, Prefecture, Prefectural Public Safety Division. The Onikakushi Defense Alliance? Yeah, they've been quite active around here. The Prefectural Public Safety Department already had the documents and a cup of tea ready and waiting for me. The short of it is there are a group of residents opposed to the dam. Really, it's probably better to say that every resident living in the land that's going to be submerged is rising to action, though. Like the old saying, fight to the last. They're on a determined and well-prepared lot. It'd be nice if they drew a line at just being moderate residential organization. The stack of papers they had prepared for me in the document room was by no means thin. It's interesting to see how much time we're spending on other people's perspectives so far. Well, true. But I don't know if you quite caught it, and maybe I should say it to make sure it's clear. This is like years before Keiichi moves to Hinamizawa. Like, this is like right around the time when that guy got dismembered for the dam riots. Like, that's still going on. The riots and protests are still happening. Like, we went back in time a bit at the start of this one. 78. Yeah. And Keiichi doesn't get to Hinamizawa till 83. Or 86. I forget which one. I think it's 83. But yeah. Oh, yeah. So we can't beat Keiichi yet. He's not here yet. 83, but I'm not sure. Yeah. I think it's... 83, I think, is when the main stories have been happening. The summer. June of 1983. 99% sure. We're back in time? Yeah. So this is one of the investigators that came during the time of all that shit happening. Hurry up and be born. Oh, I think he's born. He's just not here yet. Let's go. We're not Keiichi yet. Yeah. Perhaps Akasaka here will have less copium for you guys. Be a little more realistic. At first, they were pretty much your average citizen's initiative, but ever since that incident with the riot police, they really started to heat up. Now they got violent mentality, on top of growing increasingly radical. To quote the wise words of Mr. Worldwide, to understand the future, we have to go back in time. Facts, though, actually. I didn't expect this to come from Mr. Worldwide, aka Pitbull. Okay. Violent organizations usually indicate ones that enforce their own ideology without regards to the democratic process. Breaking down that many of those organizations held extreme left revolutionary ideologies. Considering that, I couldn't help but be surprised that a citizens group would end up going this far. Radical citizens movements happen occasionally. Risu, what you going on about? I like Pepsi, I like Coke, he says. It seemed that I would have to consider exactly what this Onikakushi Defense Alliance was. The Defense Alliance demand, in other words, the withdrawal of the dam project. How far would they go to demand to be met? To quote the philosopher Lil Wayne, yeah. Oh my god. The kidnapping of the minister's grandson was classified. It's like that one meme. What is it? Like Shakespeare, paragraph this, stanza this, line 3, word 4. Like, it's something really exact like that, and you get there and it just says, no. My favorite flavor is the flavor because IDK, I forgot. Oh, okay. Good effort. A for effort, Risu. A for effort. That meant, of course, I couldn't tell the prefectural department about it either. As you know, there were arrests after last week's confrontation with Minister and you guy. There's enough reason to believe that they could use illegal means to assert their demands. I skimmed over the list of criminal records related to the Onikakushi Defense Alliance recorded in the documents. The contents were all violent, not giving me the barest hint of feeling that these people were trying to uphold the law. Could you give the basic rundown of the types of illegal activities in the Onikakushi Defense Alliance that we are engaging in? The chief opened up a manila envelope, fished out several unorganized sheets, and spread them out on the desk. Seems that the raids on the construction site are most common. At first, they were committing relatively petty crimes like cutting power cords, jamming locks, and breaking office windows by throwing rocks. Of course, what really happened first were things like demonstrations, sit-ins, distribution of pamphlets, lively but democratic forms of protests. Wait, I just zoned out a bit, and now we're talking about Mr. Worldwide in a little way. Yeah, a little bit. However, these demonstrators and the police clashed, starting a riot, leading to numerous injuries and arrests. It was from then on that the Onikakushi Defense Alliance, like their name implies, began to take on a more demonic form of resistance. Yeah, to quote Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 3, Line 87. No. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. If the raids were frequent, didn't the local police put out their patrols? Well, of course they're on full alert, but they were up against locals, you know? There wasn't much the police could do if they were sneaking around under the cover of darkness. You might as well label the entire map of Hinamizawa village around the dam construction site enemy territory. No matter how alert the police were, the locals would just show them exactly how easy it was to sneak around. Actually, it was after the police upped security that the protesters started getting even more extreme, as though they were being provoked. See here? Can you tell how things started to heat up? An office was set on fire. The destruction of heavy construction equipment. Destruction? They couldn't have used explosives? No way. You see, they crammed the gas tanks full of sugar cubes. If they do that, it fouls the engines. Even in Japan, it seemed like there had been people doing that to the vehicles of occupying forces right after the war. Compared to the misdemeanors, like breaking windows, it was extremely violent and aggressive. After being toured around with that extent, the local police have completely lost face. The arson was a bit much. After that, the local police drastically increased the number of personnel that they had stationed there around the clock. Can I confirm that will destroy an engine? Is this personal experience, Muffin, or...? The raids on the construction site quieted down quite a bit after that. He used the words quieted down, but that was still smack dab in the middle of the list of crimes. See, after that they found the attacking site became more difficult. They started resorting to personal attacks. Hi, Pofkin. Oh god. Pofkins, hello. Welcome in. Welcome. I played the 5th. Oh my god. Right. Okay. Not saying it was real experience, but were you the one getting your car melted, or were you the one putting the sugar in? After that, there was silence. What was being described to me as a guerrilla war fought in a jungle. Threats and violence against the workers, harsh words and harsher rocks were thrown. Will I answer this question without my lawyer present? Oh my god. There's quite a list of accusations here, but it's not a whole lot different of convictions. Of course not. First of all, there's no witness. On top of that, even if we did identify perpetrators, they have alibis coming out the woodwork. What do you mean by that? Take, for example, you're walking around Hinamizawa when a certain man stabs you with a knife. You remember that person clearly, you even know his name and address. However, the knife doesn't have any fingerprints on it, and there's no other physical evidence. Well, you'd think this would be a run-of-the-mill case of assault, wouldn't you? Well, in Hinamizawa, though, it's a perfect crime. Everybody is... the entire village. They're all in on it. To protect the man who is the perpetrator, they'll get their story straight and prepare an alibi. To that end, they'll probably even forge some evidence. There's nothing they can do but put them on trial. On top of that not being any material evidence, though, people testify one another to cover their side of the story. Any prosecutor would hesitate to file charges. I'm not sure about murder, but if something like an opening on a gash or somebody's forehead was thrown rock, or leaving a bruise on hitting someone, even if you could single out a suspect, there's enough reasonable doubt to not convict. Every case, without a doubt, perpetrated by someone in Hinamizawa, but they couldn't identify who. Even if they could figure out who it was, they're unable to obtain enough circumstantial evidence through due process. The villagers were all extremely well informed about this, and so the malicious, vicious, and tenacious personal attacks continued. Having a good day? Hope everyone's good here too. Yeah, thanks. Good you're having a good day. I'm having a good day. How's everybody else doing? I think we're good, right? Right. You remember how it goes, Risu? Alright. Lay it on me, bro. You like Beepus and Coke and... The victims can't have been okay with that, right? Couldn't they have filed for an appeal? Well, you see about that. Everybody on the inquest committee didn't want to get involved with something so troublesome. They won't stick their noses in anything related to Hinamizawa. The inquest committee is comprised of a random selection of local residents. In the event the prosecutor fails to get a conviction, they have the power to order a retrial. And I'm not answering questions, officer. Miss Worldwide, yeah. Oh my god. Just wanted to tell you. I like Pepso. I like Coke. Okay. Okay. It's a system designed to assert the will of the people and the actions of the expert prosecutors in the legal world. But I like the flavor of your mouth, Dale. Solid, Risu, solid. Mr. Worldwide 305. Oh my god. It really feels like you're just smashed drunk trying to rhyme. That's what it feels like. In this case, however, being composed of local residents has backfired. They don't want to get involved? Why is that? How do I explain this? You could say they're afraid, since it's a little special there. Special? Is it an outcast community? No, it's a little different from that. Is that translating it from Spanish to English? Okay, but Pepso isn't an English word either. It's a little hard to explain, but just now... Oh, right. There's an easier way. Wiping his forehead with a handkerchief, he opened a file labeled The List Members of the Onikakushi Defense Alliance. Misty Point. That's not English either. The power of the Onikakushi Defense Alliance, you see, is the fact that they count many people among their members who are influential in the neighboring areas. Could you take a look at this? I looked, but what I saw startled me. Prefectural and municipal assembly members, staff members of the Chamber of Commerce, an executive of a business association, an executive of a town council association with a PTA liaison. There were more than a few people with a lot that say both locally and neighboring regions. You know, it'd be like that. I'm gonna go cry. No, Risa, don't cry, don't cry. I'm sorry, that's not an English word. I'm really trying to understand what you were trying to rap there. I just don't know. Is my model sheep or alpaca? It is a vampire sheep. Thank you for asking. Tried to type Pepsi. Oh, I see. Okay, okay. Around here, you could pretty much expect your actions to be observed by those against the dam project. If you said something to its support, who knows how to work out to your disadvantage? Oh man, an alpaca bloomer would be cute as fuck, would it now? I got the neck for it. It was a mistype? I see. No worries, Risu, no worries. In any case, every town in this area is being held by the throat by someone in Hinamizawa. The list of Inquisition Committee members is disclosed, isn't it? There has to be some measures in place to make sure they avoid retribution, no? I've heard people saying mistypo. Well, you can't say mistypo, because typo means mistyped. So if you say mistypo, it means you typed it right. It's not my fault, Mom. It's like a double negative. Double negatives in English are funky. Well, it is undisclosed, so their privacy is assured, but the person in charge of that is from the Okinomiya Municipal Office. In other words, a local. While you might expect some professional confidentiality, you can't know how everybody is connected. Don't know English? Me too. Give up? Me too. The people from Hinamizawa have a lot of tight bonds in that regard. When you consider the obligations and the duties people have in that region, the web of information therefore formed is nothing to scoff at. It's not uncommon for housewives in the neighborhood to know which kid from which house is in what grade and to which school and what subjects they're good at and what vegetables they hate, among other things. We're giving up together? Hell yeah, hold my hand. You see, there's Yakuza there. Oh my god. There's a Yakuza organization here with the strong ties in Hinamizawa and the surrounding area. Holding hand, thank god. Thank god. I mean, at least you got like 5 other languages you can use. English is all I can really do, man. How lewd. Holding hands? Hey, yo, holding hands before marriage? I know. We're pretty wild like that. See, brains. You know Spanish? Ah, sí, señor. I was gonna tell that at the beginning of the stream too. Today at work, I busted out some Spanish. It was pretty lit, Reese. It was pretty lit. What was it? The guy had the thing, and there was like a thing he needed to sign. So I put the X on the paper, and I was like, firma aquí, and he was like, ah, sí, and I was like, yeah, yeah, sí. It's like signed by the X. Eh? Firma aquí. Ah! Let's go! Yeah. Boom, I'm busting out very say-so. I am! You can come at me all you want, but I am say-so. I'm the most say-so vampire sheep you've ever fucking seen. Oh boy, what were we reading? Writing full support to the recent incidents. They seem to be proving most effective. Gangsters? Siding together with the residents opposed to the construction of the dam? It's a little hard to see what the common interest is. You dropped this? Bro! Ayo! No! I am say-so. I ain't got a Patreon with lewd voices. Therefore, say-so. 100% on my Spanish test? Hell yeah. Extra point on the guy's reactions. Yeah, any matter, why don't you go ahead and put that cap on yourself, Mr. Zizo. But if only. Facts, actually. Hold on. Should I consider this? Now y'all got me thinking. Well, you know, the trial will be when I do an ASMR stream somehow. I know someone who does that. Yeah. Ayo. 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 I'm not. Flashback when voicing about desserts in the other Higurashi. Listen, it was all about getting into the character, into the moment. You know I love giving you guys, like, a little bit of pizzazz while we're reading these, right? I gotta try and do some voices, otherwise it's just gonna be me reading a book for an hour and a half, right? That's why I add some pizzazz in there, you know, some voice acting. Yeah, that's fine. It wasn't that crazy, was it? It's true, I give my point to Blue Mountain. Sure, in the male toilet too. How scandal. I didn't pick it, the book put us there. I didn't pick it. It's not my fault. You know what? I wonder if maybe part of the author, there was even like, I'm not talking about desserts. I thought about that. I'm like, what if this is all just like, what's the word? Symbolizing, right? It was more symbolic to like his love for little girls. And I'm like, this is getting weird. But I gotta really play it up that it's dessert themed. It's fine. Kind of like when Coach in the last book was like, yeah, I'm gonna marry Satoko. I know she's 8 right now, but later she won't be. Bruh. Oh no, it was about desserts, alright. Okay, good. That's good. I'm glad we're all on the same page. Anyway, right. It's not difficult at all. You see, actually, one of the lieutenants in that gang is originally from Hinamizawa. He was adopted into a rather influential family in the village. Wait, I spaced out. Are we talking about ice cream? No. No, what was it? At the beginning of the Satoko book, where we're at the baseball game and we have to pull that one kid aside, and Keiichi and him are in the bathroom, like, gushing about how much they love desserts and seeing the maids at Angel Mort Cafe. I guess I got too into it. Animatter seems to think it was a little unsay-so of me to read about dessert like that. But I think it was perfectly fine. I was just in character for the book. Exactly what was this Hinamizawa? You guys asking that since book 1. What the fuck is happening in Hinamizawa? Oh no, that... Hey, don't blame the... I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming any... I just think you're taking things out of context. And, you know, I just feel like it's fine. It was fine. I thought it was some desolate rustic village. However, for some reason, they exerted a strong influence on the surrounding areas and had a strong sense of unity. They would protect their village by any means necessary, even if that meant resorting to violence. The chief had said that they were afraid because there was numerous influential people living there, but somehow I got the feeling that they were afraid of the village itself. It was perfect. Thanks, Ryusu. A real one. If no one got my back, Ryusu got my back. There was something clearly different from what I had read in the documents in Tokyo. This was no simple residential protest against the dam. For some reason, an uneasy feeling began to nestle itself back in my mind. Bloom a courtroom went, oh, what do we even do? I've done nothing wrong in my entire life. Like, oh shit. I've done nothing wrong my entire life. Like, I wouldn't be on trial. I'd have to put maybe you on trial for always throwing those caps at me. I don't know. There's nothing to put on court for. Nothing. I chose the most basic way to ask my question. Hold it! I mean... Yeah, you know, I scratch your back and you pull my... Jesus Christ. In other words, I directly asked what I wanted to know. Chief, this is just a hypothetical situation, but... Huh? This... Onikakushi Defense Alliance. In order to halt the dam project, do you think they could, say, threaten somebody important to accomplish that? The chief replied immediately, it's possible. Truth be told, they've already gone to municipal and principal offices, as well as local offices in the Ministry of Construction, and done things that could be constituted as intimidation. See? Well, it wasn't me. Risu's just vibes that way. Flashbacks to Mahjong. Oi, okay. First of all, I didn't know it was gonna be that horny. Alright, I got that game because I'm like, ooh, anime game where you learn to play Mahjong. I did not know that their ditties and their beaches would be out, okay? I did not know. We learned together. We learned together that time. Maybe Risu should be the one on court. Yeah, if we're gonna do a courtroom scene, Risu can be the one on trial. Isolated villages can feel really spooky. It is true. It is true. Flashbacks to the several Max Shell. Yeah, okay, those ones were me. Those, but also in my defense, I never knew when they were gonna be naked. Like, I always assumed they would have clothes on. Sometimes I was wrong. Anybody should be the one of what? Being the neutral codes. Oh boy. Yeah, no. To be fair, they were always great streams, but still. I think we only got jump scared by a penis once. Only once. But even then it was blurred. I made sure the censor stuff was on just in case. But there were some tatas that were really close to just being out there. Not opposed to the trial. Oh my god. Well, that would make sense. To halt progress on the dam, they raided a construction site, destroying heavy machinery and lighting the construction office on fire. If they didn't have any qualms about doing that, threats and violence against people related to the dam would probably be no problem. But that was it. Even our everyday hoodlum could use threats and violence. However, this time it was kidnapping the minister's grandsons, an abnormally high-level crime. It's even one of your shorts? Yeah, it is. Listen, I need them views. Getting jump scared by someone dressed very modestly. You know. There's no way this was amateurs. Did these people have the power to enact a large of a crime? That was the heart of the matter. Was the Onikakushi Defense Alliance an organization capable of pulling this off? In order to ask that question, once again, I chose the most basic method. Again, hypothetically, do you think they could kidnap a relative of someone in the political importance? There's no way they could pull off something like that big. That was the answer I'd hoped for. If it was my answer, my work was as good as halfway done. I might be able to get back in time for my wife giving birth. That was how it was supposed to be. The chief, without a hint of hesitation, replied, "They just might. There's no telling how far they'd go. Sorry, Yuki. It seemed like my worth wouldn't end so simply after all." Again, hypothetically, do you think? No, never, not at all. Right? So hypothetically, you think that chief is just like, did someone get kidnapped? No, but hypothetically, do you think they could kidnap somebody? Oh, Akasaka-kun, good work. How's the information gathering at the prefectural office? It's coming along. It seems we'll be able to meet with their local local public safety department, so I'm planning on heading out that way. How's the investigation in Tokyo going? The others are progressing along, but the number of groups we have to investigate is countless. Time isn't really a luxury here. There were no new developments at this time. No matter how suspicious the Onikakushi Defense Alliance was, if they solved the case in Tokyo, my job was done. It looked like my wishful thinking wouldn't come to pass. Hanging up the phone, I let my gaze drift outside to the window, to the valley of unfamiliar buildings. Akasaka-san? A car you can borrow just arrived. I'll take you to it, so follow me. Ah, thank you. He showed me to the elevator to the underground parking lot where the battered sedan was waiting for me. Oh god, a battered up sedan? Shit. The steering wheel kept drifting to the left was a little concerning, but it would be enough to get me around for a while. My destination was Shishibone City Prefecture, an area under the control of the Onikakushi Defense Alliance. The Okinomiya police station was right in front of its front lines. Halfway through the chapter, it looks like. Okinomiya Prefecture, Okinomiya Police Station. Shishibone City was, as far as provincial cities went, rather behind the times. Okinomiya, recessed in the mountains, as ever more remote. With little change between the seasons, all that was left was the tepid passage of time. It made for a rather drab town. There were no tourist attractions or local delicacies. Without even a strong regional industry, it was simply dull. Oops. Shit. Just looking at the monotonous, peaceful townscape, it was hard to catch a glimpse of the radical resistance of the Onikakushi Defense Alliance. The atmosphere of boredom didn't hint of the Okinomiya police station being the front lines of the dam conflict, nor the numerous incidents that I heard about the prefectural headquarters. Good morning. Are you here to pay a fine? No, I have an appointment with Motodai-san from the Public Safety Division. Please tell him that it's Akasaka. Ah! My apologies. Please wait a minute. The clerk, who thought that I was here for a parking violation at first glance, after fumbling with the unfamiliar extension number, told me the person on the line that I had a visitor. Welcome. Akasaka-san, was it? It must have been tiring traveling all this way out here. Sorry we have to do this here. I tried to reserve a reception room, you see, but the consul suddenly woke up and chased me out. I would hesitate to call where we were a conference room, but it was very small and cluttered. The cramped space and packed with lockers, and the impression that it was more of a changing room than doubled as one for smoking. Listening to his crude chortles, I couldn't get much of a feeling for Mototai, who was the head of the local public safety division. He was much of an intellectual. But I knew that, in exchange, he had both the experience and absolute confidence in all of his instincts. I apologize for interrupting you such a busy time. I'm Akasaka, from the Metropolitan Police Department. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Mototai, from the Public Safety Division. Nice to meet you. I was threatened to Sankai with the prefectural gangbusters, but it generous of my cooperation. Gangbusters? You mean the Prefectural Crime Prevention Division? You see, we're treating the Onikakushi defense lines as an extension of the local Yakuza. You'd have to be a newbie to think you were just a resident protest group. They said the prefectural office, too, that the Onikakushi defense lines was linked to the local mob. If I recall correctly, the adopted son of somebody influential was the lieutenant in the gang. It's actually the other way around. The complete opposite. The Yakuza put up protest group as a front to justify their actions. Think of it like that. Completely the other way around. Mototai was just rolling with laughter. This was slightly different than the info given to me at the prefectural office, but somebody embedded locally would be more knowledgeable. Holy shit, I can't read. While we were talking, occasionally some people who seemed to be detectives would come in and change. One of those individuals, noticing Mototai's guffas, came up to us. Holy frick. I first character sprite in the book, guys. I was wondering what you guys were talking about. Oh, Kuro-chan. Perfect timing. Why don't you join us? This here is Inspector Akasaka, who came all the way from Tokyo Police Department. An inspector? I'm still just a rookie. My name's Akasaka. Pleased to meet you. Took an hour and finally got to the protect. No! It must be nice to be so fresh-faced. Did they hire you this year? I couldn't help but think I was being ridiculed, so I only responded with a forced smile. I could tell that this new person was like Mototai, the type who had confidence in their instincts and experience. So glad we're on the Oishi question arc. No! Stop! No! Let me introduce you, Akasaka-san. This is Oishi-kun from the investigation department. Regarding the S-file you were asking about, he's familiar with it. S-file? S for Sonozaki. If something is in an S-file, it means it has something to do with the Sonozaki family. It's something of a code name. Sonozaki. Come to think of it, I remember when I was poring over the documents at headquarters, there were quite a few people with the last name of Sonozaki popping up. If I remember right, there's a Sonozaki who is one of the executives of the Onikakushi Defense Alliance. I'm pretty sure they're the treasurer. The two of them were surprised when I rattled off the post with that Sonozaki held. After a moment, both of them erupted into laughter. Akasaka-san, was it? You're quite the studious one. Could it be that you've memorized all the central figures in the Alliance? I wouldn't say memorized exactly. I've at least read the list of Onikakushi Defense Alliance executives, though. Indicate what it is about the music track, but I'm getting KK Slider without the vocal vibes. Nah, 100%. I think it's the trumpet. Animal Crossing loves their, like, wet trumpet noises. Honestly. If this even is a trumpet, I don't know. I guess I'm not there with music. I'm doubting myself now. Could be a trumpet. I don't know. Then, who are the president and vice president? The president is the mayor of Hinamizawa, Kei Kimiyoshi. The vice president is the priest of the local shrine, Furude. The treasurer is O Sonozaki. The auditor is Makino. The liaison is Y Kimiyoshi. The PR head is Y Sonozaki. Akasaka-san, you're pretty good. The pay sucks, but you want to work here? You're just the type we're looking for. Oh, by the way, Yoshio Sonozaki is the head of the youth department. So close. The head of the public relations is actually Tadayoshi Sonozaki. Feeling like I wasn't being complimented at all, I started settling into the uncomfortable mood. However, I was becoming more and more aware that I was the weakest link in the investigation, so I just had to bear it. I didn't mean for that feeling to show up in my face, but its crafty detectives didn't let it slip by. I didn't mean to make fun of you. To make up for it, why don't I show you around the village? For somebody with no feel of the area like me, it would be a great help. I couldn't have asked for it better. Whatever. In the end, the Onikakushi Defense Alliance is nothing more than an alias for the Hinamizawa is using to deal with the outside world. I think getting to know the village would speed up your work. How about it? The residential movement, in other words, held an influence over the whole region. So the leader of the movement was the leader of that influence. Just like that, the thought process in the region would become an overall personality of the movement. Just like Oishi had said, in order to learn what they were really like, the regional force behind the dam protests, getting to know the village was the quickest way. If you would. Nodding back without skipping a beat, Oishi laughed with satisfaction and stood up. If I took the information I learned from the prefectural office and from Modotai's heart, if my position were exposed, my personal safety is at risk. The opponent was an extremist group that had no qualms about using threats or violence against somebody. If my personal info was leaked, it wouldn't be hard to imagine that I'd be in danger, whether on the job or not. Thinking that, I felt a little nervous. These guys are quick to remember faces. If you're seen with me, it'll probably do a lot to hinder your work. This might be a little cliche. Put these on. Oishi handed me an incredibly suspicious disguise comprised of a baseball cap, sunglasses, and a mask. I didn't want to get all hot and stuffy, but Oishi's warning was probably right on the money. Considering that, I put them on with appreciation. I looked so suspicious that Oishi had to smile weirdly. How much did I tell you again? Let's see. To the part where you were talking about how these three ancient families control the village. The Onikakushi Defense Alliance was the same as the village of Hinamizawa itself. Meaning, there is direct correlation between being an executive in the alliance and being a leader in the village, as Mototai had told me a short time ago. If the village was ruled by three ancient families, then it would mean that the Onikakushi Defense Alliance was ruled by those of the same three families. What did the documents at the prefectural office say? About the leader of the Defense Alliance or whatnot? The documents I was using were classified. If I responded to Oshi's question, it'd be a breach of security. However, most likely, this man, I judged, was more well-versed in the situation than any of the documents at the prefectural police department, so I decided to answer him. The president of the alliance is the current mayor of the village, Kiichiro Kimiyoshi. Oishi, upon hearing that, let out a small chuckle. For him to ask like that, and then to laugh at the answer, as if it were recorded in the documents, meant that it wasn't the case reality. So then, that means there's somebody else other than Kimiyoshi behind the scenes. Contrary to what the prefectural office thinks, or rather, what is commonly known. Oof. Old man Kimiyoshi is nothing more than a figurehead. In the first place, the post of mayor in the village is nothing more than ceremonial. In other words, there's something else in charge of both the alliance and the village. Would that be the three families you talked about? Well, I'll explain that part now. All of a sudden, with a thunk, the car suddenly lurched. The paved road had given way to a gravel one. At the same time, the scenery outside the window changed. The Hinamizawa Dam project must be withdrawn. Overthrow the shameless puppet of the governor. The dam will submerge the natural beauty of Hinamizawa. Protect the village from the unethical dam. Fear the wrath of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Demolish the dam. Those involved must go away. The construction office must respond. The office manager must negotiate with us. Signs and banners crowded the roadside, each reading with brush-scrawled words and daunting. It was as though the road had just changed and was the border to a different country. At that moment, I was startled by the car suddenly braking. Looking ahead, a barricade had been erected. About 5 or 6 protesters wearing masks and helmets to hide their faces were blocking the road, yelling at us angrily to stop. What is this? A checkpoint? These guys never learn. Oh, she snorted as he rolled down the window and leaned out. Hey! You guys can't be blocking the road like this here? As Oishi glared at them with a malicious laugh, they visibly faltered. Clear the way. We can't get through like this. Who would have thought it was Oishi's car? That panic through seemed to make them lose their presence of mind. If it was known it was your car, Detective Oishi, we wouldn't have been so rude. Detective, what happened to your usual car? Is it in for maintenance? Something like that. I just can't get used to the car they loaned me. Judging from their brief conversation, I could guess that they were familiar with the license plate and the car Oishi normally used. In other words, if they knew the car belonged to police, they would have hidden in the barricade. What they were doing was obviously an obstruction of traffic, a blatant crime. Who's that suspicious guy? You. Could you show us your face? The man glared at me menacingly. Wearing my mask and sunglasses made me look particularly dubious. Would not showing my face get me into some unnecessary trouble? I turned to Oshi to see what I should do. Give him a break. He's still shy, little rookie. We just wanted to make sure he wasn't anybody suspicious. Hinamizawa has been a bit of a stir as of late. Have you looked at yourself in the mirror? That mask you're wearing is way more suspicious. The men and Oshi continued to talk like that, feigning smiles at one another. However, from the beginning to the end, I couldn't get over the feeling I was sitting on a power keg. Has the number of trucks illegally dumping still not decreased? It's a real hassle dealing with it all the time. If the police could understand and cooperate, it would really help. During that conversation, the barricade was moved, leaving a gap wide enough for a single car to get through. Oshi lightly honked the horn once and began to roll the car forward. I could see the men's antagonistic glares at the back of the car in the rearview mirror. What was that just now? Blocking the public road like that? Of course it's a crime. Still. Bless me. Sorry. Of course it's a crime. Still, if you get worked up over something like that, it'll never end. Those guys, see, claim there's an infestation of trucks illegally dumping in the village. Gesundheit, thank you. Their story goes that in order to stop that, they're halting suspicious vehicles for inspection. Illegal dumping? Like corrupt contractors just tossing industrial waste away? Their line of argument is that the police aren't going to do anything about it. They'll take matters in their own hands. Well, the industrial waste is just something they're doing by themselves anyway. By themselves? They have a pretty good strategy. You see, in order to hinder construction, they spread industrial waste all over the dam site. Then, blaming it on corrupt contractors, they start instituting these inspections. There, they stop every construction vehicle coming through and interfere with them as much as possible. So then, it's one of the methods the Onikakushi Defense Alliance is using. With that inspection just now, this car's license plate has probably been recorded. It shouldn't get stopped from here on out. Those guys know very well not to get me angry. See, rumor is that they figure the car is related to the construction in some way. Not only would there be checkpoints stopping at every turn, but they'd be throwing rocks and planting road spikes as well. It's best you be careful not to get identified. If they find out you're from public safety, who knows what you'll suffer through. Oshi was acting like he was talking about something fun, but for me it was no laughing matter. It almost feels like we've wandered into a civil war in the Middle East. That's a good way of putting it. It's pretty much just what you said. Oshi turned to me with a grin and menacing laugh. You see, this here's a war zone. The car slowed down a bit as we went down a narrow road through some farmland. You see that house in the forest over there? That antiqued one. Looking where Oshi was pointing, there is certainly an old, traditionally styled house. That belongs to the mayor, Old Man Kimiyoshi. You could say it belongs to the main Kimiyoshi house as well. There's a lot of branches, but they'd be one of the three families. The three families. The ancient families that control Hinamizawa? That's right. And one of the others is the Furude family. Their house doesn't even have a single branch. All that's left is the head priest's family. Right over there, there's the shrine. He's the priest there. By the way, the Defense Alliance office is on grounds in that shrine. The office of the Onikakushi Defense Alliance. If these guys were the enemy, that would make the shrine their stronghold. Can we go look over there? The shrine is the Furude family's private property, you see. Being police, we can't set foot there without a warrant. See, they've got a member of the Diet with ties to the village backing them up. Basically, being the police has its strengths and weaknesses. Well, even when we talk about the three families, there's something from a long time ago, way back when, that those three families used to hold councils and decide things about the village. Meaning it's different now? Yeah, you got a pretty good nose. That's what I expect from this academic. The car barked to a halt with a squeal. Ahead of where we were stopped, were several signs. Private property beyond, no trespassing. Beware of poisonous snakes. Danger. Turn back. Intruders will be charged an entry fee of 1 million yen. Signs were erected with things like that written on them. The road was separated from the forest by a chain-link fence wrapped in barbed wire. Since this is private property, this is as far as we go. There's several surveillance cameras set up further in, saying that we just got lost and won't work with these guys. They're beyond here, right? The people currently controlling Hinamizawa and the Onikakushi Defense Alliance were neither the Kimiyoshi family nor the Furude family, but the last of the three. Yeah. Beyond here is one of the three families, the Sonozaki family. They're the ones controlling Hinamizawa from the shadows. Among the list of executives recorded in the documents, the number of people with the last names from the three families was quite high. Of course, Sonozaki was no exception. However, at the top was the Kimiyoshi family. If the Kimiyoshi family seemed to be in charge, the rulers behind the scenes were the Sonozaki family. This double-layered structure implicitly told me that this village had both a light and a dark side. The current head of the Sonozaki family is an old lady named Oryu. She has enough clout that you could call her Empress Sonozaki. Be careful, she's no small fry. She's enough of a VIP that even the mayor of the city has to bow before her. While in Hinamizawa and the surrounding area, their relatives amount to the block of several thousand votes. No politician could show disrespect for that. In other words, that would make her the actual leader of the Onikakushi Defense Alliance, right? You've got it. And with those words, Oshi pulled out a well-worn cigarette box. The suspected kidnapping of the minister's grandchild and subsequent threats. Were these part of the hidden plot by the Onikakushi Defense Alliance in order to have the Hinamizawa Dam project cancelled? You came all the way from Tokyo to investigate this, didn't you? Huh? Yeah, that's right. Something the matter? Then. Is it related to that direct appeal incident with the minister and new guy? If that's the case, then public safety has them marked on the watch list. Something like that? Having you guess that so quickly makes me easy. While exhaling the cigarette smoke, Oshi smiled broadly, like I just pulled a good one on him. Or so I thought. His smile disappeared suddenly. That's a lie, isn't it? Huh? I mean the direct appeal putting them on the watch list. That's a lie, isn't it? Oh, she knew there was no way that Tokyo HQ would dispatch an investigator over something as minor as a direct appeal. If they were to dispatch someone, it had to be for a more dire reason. He had figured out as much. I thought of myself as the type of person who doesn't let things show on their face. In front of his watchful gaze, however, I felt that I was thinking was completely laid bare. Oh, she silently lit another cigarette, as if waiting for me to interject during the awkward pause. I see. So this was the veteran detective's way of getting someone to spill information. But as long as I realized this, there would be nothing more. If I didn't open my mouth, I wouldn't have to lose anything. All I had to do was stare out the window and enjoy the scenery until she gave up. You really are bad at hiding things, you know. Being so young and earnest isn't so bad. Oh, she smirked as he twisted out his third cigarette, while I tried not to let him notice that I had yielded completely. At first I thought I'd won, but at the very least Oshi had ascertained that I was hiding something, meaning that I might have ended up marching to his tune. Oshi started up the engine once again and began to move the car. If you'd just been honest with me, I thought I might have been able to help you. How would you help? If the cat was out of the bag, I might well use it to catch some mice. Well, that depends on what we're talking about. But I might be able to set you up with someone who's knowledgeable about goings-ons in Hinamizawa. An informant? I see. Is that what you want to call it? Why are you so interested in my case, Oshi-san? Well, I'm the same as you. Isn't it our business to know things? Being able to meet with Oshi's informant was an extremely compelling opportunity. Oh no, your internet's acting up again, Jose? Oh no. Damn. We were looking to recruit somebody familiar with the area to collaborate with intelligence. In the end, there was no better method for finding people than asking. We were always taught, however, that the rank and file police were no better than monkeys. Unlike us, they were careless in confidential cases. Sorry, I was just downloading something using your internet. Oh my god. Imagine, though. We looked down at them like they'd run their mouth off in a drunken stupor. Oshi was an outlaw, even amongst them, and here I was, lost in whether I should tell him about the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. This informant, exactly how knowledgeable are they about the Onikakushi Defense Alliance? If you're from public safety, you'd know, wouldn't you? Something like that, something I just can't tell you. Protect your sources. That was the first principle of dealing with the confidential information. In that regard, it seemed that Oshi wasn't one of those monkeys. Should I trust him? Ask for his help? Or not? It's just that you work for the feds and I work for the prefecture. I don't think that our jobs are that different. I think I can help. However, I had trouble believing that this crafty old man would simply help me just like he claimed. I find it hard to believe that someone near standing would help me without strings attached. Well, it's not like I'm completely without an ulterior motive. As I recall, you guys have space in your budget allocated to pay informants, right? Something you don't need to submit a receipt for. Just a little bit of what would be the cost of meeting with the informant. In other words, give the compensation earmarked for the informant to you first. Well, if it helps, the details of the deals are so clear-cut. He certainly was something else for being able to brazenly state the ulterior motive like this. Rather than him doing this out of the kindness of his heart, everything was a lot clearer if he was being compensated for his deal. I felt that he was the type of man who was good at these backroom dealings. Don't misunderstand me, please. It's not me who needs the money, it's the informant, okay? Well, in regards to the payment, I'll be handling the money. Oh, when do you want it? Right now would be good. If you don't have it on you, tomorrow works well. I pulled out a wallet that was different from my personal one. The price was pretty much fixed depending on what kind of information I was paying for. In this case, the payment was up front. Also considering the fact I didn't know what kind of info I'd get, I shouldn't pay too much. When suggested that, Oshi suddenly stretched out his hand and tightly grasped the contents of the wallet. At times like this, it's best not to be so stingy. It's alright, it won't go to waste. I understand. I won't be so stingy. And what kind of information are you looking for? Depending on what you want, how we approach this will probably change. You swear you won't spread this information to anybody else, Oshi-san. I can't swear as much. I'm the same as you. I can't withhold information obtained during this course of my duties. I got it, I swear. Nothing here gets said anywhere else. On top of that, thanks to you, I can pay back what I owe from the mahjong debts. In any case, I won't break a promise that involves money. I was still unsure if I should trust him until the last moment, but in the end I broke down. Oshi wasn't the type of guy I could trust 100%, but there was no mistaking he had access to underground information networks. In order to accomplish my mission swiftly, I needed this cooperation. I set my resolve. I'm investigating whether or not the Onikakushi Defense Alliance is related to a certain incident. Certain incident? There's a possibility that the Minister of Construction in Yugai was being coerced by someone. Saying there's a possibility is kind of a roundabout way of putting it. It appears there's a mole close to the minister, and due to that mole, the minister has been monitored quite thoroughly, and is seemingly forced to cede to their threats right away. None of this is reported to us, or the police. I see. So that's why you're not saying there's only a possibility of it being coerced. In that case, isn't it a little strange? If the minister didn't report this to anybody, how did you guys know about the incident? If we didn't spy on the minister's private life, we would have never found out. I don't think we have to provide that explanation to the informant, so I'm admitting it. Oshi had apparently caught on, and quietly chuckled when I refused to explain. I see. There's a spy close to the minister, so public safety made it a highly classified investigation. That certainly isn't a very amicable story, is it? If this matter became public, not only would this affect the minister's political career, but the possibility of there being a shift in the political landscape is extremely high. If the perpetrator's aim is indeed that, then this could develop into a very grave situation. Well, with the government having development projects all over the country, they've butted heads with quite a few people. It wouldn't take much wrongdoing for the left-wing parties to suddenly garner some more support. We're currently investigating demands are being forced with the minister, but at least we have a good idea of how he's being threatened. How? The minister's grandson was kidnapped. They're denying it, but judging from what was last seen, it's believed it's already been over 72 hours since the kidnapping. So 3 days. They were just after ransom money. This would have been settled by now. It may be that it isn't for monetary gain. The possibility that they're forcing the minister to do something politically is extremely high. That's something we can't consent to. So then the Onikakushi Defense Alliance was listed as one of the possible perpetrators. That is correct. Kidnap the minister's grandson and demand the cancellation of the dam project. What do you think, Oshi-san? From your point of view, do you think that's possible? Oshi seemed to ponder the idea for a while. The section chief of the regional office had responded immediately with a, "It's possible." However, Oshi, who was well informed about the matter, was hemming and hawing. Finally, just a little bit. He said something that was really just a little bit strange. This was before the Meiji era, you see. This area wasn't named Hinamizawa Village back then. It was called Onikakushi. This is just what I heard from my grandmother. This topic was so completely and suddenly unrelated to the subject of the kidnapping of the minister's grandson that I was taken slightly aback. Onikakushi? Oh, so that's why they're called the Onikakushi Defense Alliance. You see, the village of Onikakushi was said to be inhabited by demons that devoured humans. Even now, it's believed that the blood of these demons particularly courses through the veins of the villagers. Demons that devour humans? Oshi-san, what are you saying? It's information. I got a lot from you just now. A little too much. In exchange, I'm giving you a little freebie. Oshi finally smiled, but it didn't seem like he was fooling around. Please continue. You see, these human-devouring demons, normally they were revered as Taoists, transcendents, and lived tucked away in the rest of the world. But they ate people after all, so apparently they go to villages in the foothills regularly and abduct their prey. They used to call it being demoned away, or the onikakushi. Demoned away. It was the first time I'd heard such a peculiar phrase. However, it felt slightly ominous from the horrifying tale of the demons abducting people in order to eat them. Look, you know how there's a common phrase, spirited away? When people suddenly go missing one day and they call it that. When the same thing happens around here, they call it being demoned away. How does that old tale relate to the matter at hand? Oh no. There's no direct relations. I'm just making some small talk here. It's just... Kadum, kadum. The car shook. At some point, the gravel road had been changed to a paved one. It's just what? That around here, the phrase demoned away is somewhat of a code for disappearance and kidnappings. I just thought I'd mention it. I don't know if this has anything to do with the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Well, there's no deep meaning behind it. It's just, there's a little bit of a history. Onikakushi. Human-eating demons coming down from the foothills and abducting their prey. Then in order to cancel the dam project that threatened to submerge the village they lived in, did they demon away the minister's grandson? Then had they already made up an example of the minister's grandson and eaten him alive? It's a bit of an interesting old tale, isn't it? If you set foot in the demon's village without reason, you'll promptly be captured and eaten alive. So don't go near Onikakushi. Kids these days wouldn't have had these superstitions, would they? Even amongst the older folk in Okinomiya, born in the Meiji era, there's quite a few who wouldn't heed these warnings. Hinamizawa Village was feared by the people in the area. I recalled the piece of information I'd heard from the Prefectural Public Safety Division. In any case, we're in the boonies out here. It's kind of expected that there'd be some superstitions around. Somebody from Tokyo like you, Akasaka-san, probably couldn't even begin to imagine it, could you? The man-eating demons as the price for violating sanctity of their village kidnapped the minister's grandson, swallowed him whole. The ludicrous idea flew through my head. It was so absurd, I was half disgusted with myself. Oh, she was just teasing me. Stupid. It was all really so stupid. Come to think of it, by then, I may have already been seized by the curse of that dubious village. For me to realize that would take a little more time. Doomed away. It's an interesting premise. I like the mixture of folklore and crime. Right? Higurashi, when they cry. What a way. Is this the end of the chapter? It was. Okay. What a way to, like, end the chapter, right? Like, going back to present Akasaka-san and being like, at that time, I probably was already cursed, but I wouldn't realize it for a little while. Like, fuck. Shit, you just know some shit's gonna go down. Chapter 1 done, baby. Eh! Ha ha ha! Pachi, pachi, pachi! Yeah! Pachi, pachi, pachi! Ha ha! The end of the demon Hinamizawa. Onikakushi, the demon swamp. And we ended with the creepy music box, so you gotta love it. Super good job, Bluma. Thank you, Puffkin. Thank you. Thank you for coming by and listening to chapter 1 of Higurashi book 4, right? Book 4? Book 4. Wow. Feels good. We made it quite a distance in this series, haven't we? Amazing work. Thank you. Looking forward to the next chapter. It's all about Oshi. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so over Oshi already. Book 4? Yeah, we're in the 4th book right now. Because it was, what was it? It was, book 1 was Onikakushi, book 2 was Watsunagashi, book 3 was Tataragoshi, and this is book 4, Himatsubushi, or whatever the fuck. I butchered, like, literally all of those names. I'm so sorry. What did I miss? Where did we go? What do you mean? You've been here since the beginning. First was Reina, second was Mion, third Satoko, and now will be Rika. Yes. 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 Mion/Shion. Yeah, true. True. Yeah, and look at that. Like, and now you probably realize why this one was just so foggy in my mind. Is because we went through that whole first chapter. The only returning character we've had so far was Ooshi-san. Right? He's the only returning character we've had. I mean, they've mentioned Sonozaki Furude, they've mentioned the names, but they haven't said Mion, Shion, or Rika. And yeah, to be fair, this is like 6 years before, or whatever, 5 or 6 years before the events in the other books? I thought we were in book 3. No, we finished that last time. Remember the big finale of him wishing everyone was gone and then everyone died? Ooh, new characters in every chapter. I like it. Well, yeah. I think it's just because this arc is the most different. Like, every other book, the first 3 books, it's like, we would go through that arc, and then it would restart with... And we were seeing it from the perspective of Keiichi, like, our main character, Keiichi Maibara. And so, like, we'd go through it, something would happen, something goes crazy, somebody dies, da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden we would restart and go through again, same thing, and we'd restart. So it's not like we got new characters every chapter. It was just in this one, it started with Akasaka-san, who we had never heard of or seen before, like never mentioned before. And so he was like, yeah, I gotta talk to my old friend Ooshi-san. And we're like, oh wait, no, that's the cop. And now we get in this flashback of the first time he came to Hinamizawa, which was during the dam project, which in the first 3 books were only ever mentioned as happening a few years before Keiichi moved there. So it's like, this is kind of like our little flashback arc, as well as the Rika focus arc. So, He was pretty great in the first one. Don't remember the second one, but third book he was kind of awful. Yeah, in the third book he was the most like evil we had seen him. In the second book there wasn't a lot of him. He literally showed up for one scene when we were in the library or something, and we were talking to Shion, and he came in and he was asking us questions about the Sonozakis, and that's when Shion was like, actually I gotta go, and she booked it, and then that's when people started disappearing, and that's also when Mion and Shion, it became really, really foggy as to which one was which. So, like, yeah. The second book is no one's favorite. It was a little weird. Just even thinking about that. Just, so much. Bleh, you know. So much. Oh, she shows up. Suddenly people start disappearing. Yeah, that was the vibes in the third book. Like, they kind of sorta... What was it? They kind of sort of, like, blamed Oishi in the third book. He was like, because everyone thought he was Oyashiro-sama in the third book. Like, that was the vibe he had. It was so weird. I appreciated the story, and your narration was so good. Thank you! I appreciate you being here. I do love our little book clubs. I wish there were more characters. Like, I usually try and voice act a little bit, like, give everyone different voices. But right now, like, literally, it's just old man detective and young detective. So I don't have a man voice. And it's like, so my man voice would be for all the men. But I swear it's better when there's more characters. Coincidence? I think not. Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly, bro, exactly. Old blood, young, yeah. So yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up there. Bluma's gonna go maybe sleep or something. Relax. She got a pretty bad headache, I won't lie. But yeah, tomorrow we will be streaming once again at, hopefully, fingers crossed, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will be trying. I'm gonna maybe look at redesigning some characters from that other series I was talking about. Hope you get better. Thanks. Alright, did you try Wilds? I did try Wilds. I did. Ray Dao was nice. I liked Ray Dao. I liked Ray Dao a lot. Yeah. True King Art stream? Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, True King Art stream. Yeah. You can't try it anymore, Risu. It's gone. The beta closed yesterday, I'm pretty sure. So now you have to wait till February until the game's actually out. And yes, eat sheeply indeed. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go rest, relax for the rest of the night, and then eventually just pass out. Sag. Same. But yeah. I was sad that I kind of fucked up the timing and we didn't get to do it on stream, but it is what it is. I mean, honestly, streaming the PC version would have been a fucking nightmare if I can be real. It was barely running just by itself. I can't imagine trying to run it, VTube Studio, Streamlabs, and everything else. There's like no way. Absolutely not. It would have been awful. But anyway, True King art stream tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the YouTubes. If I don't see you in the next stream, I'll see you when I see you, okay? Alright, Lamb Chops, you have a good night, good evening, and bye-bye!